Today I'm doing a Pocketwatch tutorial. I'm using art resin. I've got a couple pocket watches here. I've already sealed them off, which is really important if you do make these pocket watches to remember. I've messed up enough of them to know that if you don't seal off this part and seal off around the corners, that you're going to end up with a mess that's almost next to impossible to fix. So I'm pouring my first layer in there, get it all the way down in the bottom, because I found that's the best way, is to add inclusions after you've poured and then pour another layer on top of it to prevent bubbles. So I've got this book here that I picked up at Hobby Lobby, and I've already sealed it off with resin spray, and it kind of discolored it a little bit, which is okay because I think it still gives it a little bit of a vintage look. I think it looks cool. I think that I got this ruler from Joann's. I think this would make a cute gift for maybe a teacher or someone. And I'm not saying that you should suck up to your teacher, but you've got to stay competitive in this dog-eat-dog world. So I've got another layer. I'm just gonna let it flow over. Looks like I could use a little bit more in there to cover the book. There'll probably be a little bit more resin that will seep into it, which is okay. There's already a few bubbles coming out. I'm just gonna take my lighter and get rid of those bubbles. And then I'm gonna let that spread out a little bit on my own while I work on the next one. Which, got a couple ice skates here. And I'm just gonna do one layer with the first to add a little bit of dimension. Then I'm gonna put the second ice skate in there after that cures, because you only get to be young once. I'm gonna put a can of cola in there. And these little cassette tapes have holes in them that like to get bubbles, so I'm just gonna poke that through. And I'm gonna come back over here. I'm gonna move this around just to make sure that no bubbles decide to creep up while it's curing. And I have another little key I'm just gonna put in here. And push it down with my fork. Over here looks like it can use a little bit more resin. And then I'm gonna let that cure for 48 hours and I'll be back for the next step. Okay, it's been more than 48 hours, so I'm going to do the next step. I've already got my art resin mixed, and I'm just gonna slowly pour, and I just wanna fill it to the lip because in the last step I will be doming it. Pour it slowly and let it This one looks like it needs a little bit more. Same with this one. And I'm going to put this ice skate in there. Roller skate, I'm sorry. And a little hand, I want to cover up the holes in the ruler. And an apple to cover up the other hole. And now just a tiny bit more resin to get it just to the lip and cover the inclusions. And I'll let it cure for another 48 hours, and then I'll be back. Okay, it's been another 48 hours, so I'm going to do the third and final step. I'm going to dome it. This part's a little bit trickier than the rest of it, but once you get the hang of it, it's much easier. I've had plenty of ruined stopwatches with overflow, so I've learned my lesson a few times to pour very, very slowly and let it dome over on its own rather than adding more to it if it can be avoided, unless it does actually need more. So I just pour a little bit. Looks like these do need a little bit more. So I'm just going to pour a tiny little bit in the middle. A little bit more over here. I like to have these handy when I'm doming, just in case if I've poured too much, I can easily suck a little bit more back up. And make sure that it's touching all the way to the edges. It looks like I've put a little bit too much into this one because it's starting to flow over. So I'm just going to draw a little bit back up into it. Grab a baby wipe and wipe off that side. And I see a couple little bubbles forming already, so I'm gonna grab a lighter here. And really quickly over the top of both of them. And then I'm gonna take this lighter here around the edge because it'll kind of reheat it a little bit and make sure that it connects with the edges and there's no rippling or anything like that. And it looks like it's done now, so I'm gonna let them sit and cure. And thanks for watching. Bye.